everybody. I'm your Art Sherpa, and today's Baby Groot Day. I am so excited to show you guys how you can create this adorable version of Baby Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy 2 today in your own home. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
He's going to be tracking all this Sherpa craziness with different cameras so you can see every part of the painting action. And that's really going to help you create this yourself. This is something that you can do yourself. We're just going to explain these steps, break them down. I'm going to do a thing. You're going to do a thing at the end. The whole internet will be full of Baby Groot, like it isn't already full of Baby Groot. Because who doesn't love Baby Groot? I'm Groot. I actually thought I was going to open this up and prank them and be like, I'm Groot, just over and over again through the whole lesson. But then I thought, no one's going to find that as funny as me.
They're not ready for Sherpa performance art. We got to save that for one day a year. April 1st.
One day a year when I'm like being all pranky.
Yeah, April 1st. We're going to do our performance art on that day.
I do genuinely gleeful, dorky pranks. So I don't do any of those. I can't watch pranking shows.
No,
I don't do any of those kind of pranks. But like the stuff like where I would teach a whole class saying I am Groot, I would totally do it.
So
I'm going to coffee up here because, I need more caffeine.
We have such an amazing crowd with us. Lots of new people are here today. They're really excited to Groot it up.
Groot it up? Are you guys ready to make your own Baby Groot? Who loves Baby Groot? Who loves it?
There's
Raise
so
your hand
many,
at home.
lots of little brushes here raising little hands for little Groots.
So listen, if you're sitting here and you kind of wandered in the show and you thought, but I don't draw, so how is this crazy woman going to get me through this?
How?
Crazy I can't do anything about. But I can help you get through this. I want to just say that there is a traceable provided. There's a link to it below. It's the TAS link. If you go to the Big Art Quest, artsherpa.com, Groot has his own Big Art Quest page because this is about face number 8. 8A.
8A. This is side quest. Side quest.
This is a side quest. And so you can find that traceable there. But I'm going to talk about how we make faces look alien and yet familiar. That's what we're going to be focusing on this questy quest today.
Yeah.
So let me put him to the side. Isn't he cute?
Oh, he's super cute.
The background, if you guys were paying attention, is already up in the info card, description, also in all those links. So you guys, that's a separate video on how to paint this background. I have one that I do you know what I just realized, John?
What's that?
I traced him in upside down. It's fine.
You sure did.
I did. So his bubbles go the other way on this one. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I can fix that. Don't worry.
You inverse bokeh'd him.
I inverse bokeh'd him. So it looks like
he's now in a bubble bath.
So that's how you know that this is live. Am I going to redraw this? No, I'm not, because I got to explain to you guys how you can draw this. I'm going to do that with paint, though.
And this is how you know. So this is how we get. Now we have legitimate. Like we can heckle the Sherpa over her upside down Groot.
You can?
Sure.
All right. So, yes,
what do you got?
over here we have a 9x12 canvas board here, right? I want to show you how I used my traceable.
Now, note your background direction before you do this.
Yeah, note your background direction. If you want the bokeh around his face versus around his little body, it's all good. So what I basically do to get this is just tracing paper. I get at my local art store, and I take either white kids chalk or a General's white pencil, and I rub the back, and then I trace over the lines, and it creates a transfer image. That way I can do a lot of my thinking and sketching on another piece of paper. If you guys are in the Big Art Quest with me, you know that that's something that, whether you're freehanding or whether you're tracing, it's just a good skill to have. I have a bunch of acrylic paint over here. Oh, yay. I have a bunch of acrylic paint over here. I have cad orange. I have burnt sienna, yellow ochre, cad yellow medium, titanium white, phthalo blue, phthalo green. I have black gesso, and in the center, my favorite gooey stuff, acrylic glazing liquid gloss. Now, any orange you have is fine. Really, in these colors, any colors that you have is fine. If you don't have cad yellow, you can use Hansa. That is okay. And you can just use black paint. That is also okay. And if you don't have glazing medium, then you're going to have to blend wet into wet with water. None of it a big deal. I'm going to talk about how we put Groot in, right? But I'm going to start with a number 2 bright. I'm going to load this up on the edge. Okay? And I'm going to talk about Baby Groot's face. So the first part of Baby Groot's face, when you guys are thinking about it, is, believe it or not, is a very charming you. You don't have to do yours in black paint. You do yours in kids chalk. Right? If you're freehanding this in with me, you do yours in with some kids chalk. I don't know where my example kids chalk went, but white kids chalk, sure. Right? I'm going to do this in with black paint because I like the crevices to be dark. And then I'm going to come up at the top of his head. I do these little wiggly, barky bits. And how I do that is my brush meanders. Look at that, meandering. Pull it down on its edge, pulling that in. And I'm going to keep coming. It's almost like a crown on the top of his head. So this little bit should be wandery. And then bring that crack down. Now, when you're done chalking yours in, you're going to want to come and actually do a little bit of this lining because it's going to help you when you put in your bark. Believe it or not. The thing about Baby Groot is that there's a lot of layers. This point here comes up actually to a point, and see how I'm sort of meandering my brush up and down and not making any smooth lines?
Yeah.
This is important to the texture and design of this character. So I'm on the edge of my brush here that I'm loving with the fire of 1,000 suns. And so much I'm loving. I'm going to deepen this crack right there. And then I've got some of these little bark lines, and I'm going to go ahead and put them in black right now. This is a really unusual way to sometimes put in a painting, but it actually, for this character, works really well because I have to build up this depth of layers so that he pops against his background. Like you do. Here we go. I like that his bokeh's all low. It's just so weird. Live art lessons. Also, hopefully this kind of brings up the point that it's really none of it that big of a deal. It's just, happy accidents, right? Like, used to get said. Just things that happen along your journey. Just keep that top of him very, very kind of rugged. Now, right below there, about an inch down is where his eyes sit. And one thing that you can do to help yourself if you're trying to freehand his face is go ahead and set your eye line there, just like we do with the belief face, right at the bottom. See where my brush is lined up? Just chalk yourself something in. Go ahead and bisect his face in half. I love that he has no nose. And that's something to think about in the character design when you're trying to make alien faces, especially for your mini quest, is by removing his nose, that kind of makes him seem alien, but his big eyes and his mouth and the way this feels like spiky hair makes him seem familiar. So I'm carving up a very big eye, right? Look how I curve that up. And I'm going to bring this down. His eyes are super rounded, right? That's something important about him. And then we have the nice big black pupils in the center of those eyes. So I'll put those in. Make sure you sketch those in because that'll keep him from getting cross-eyed. You don't want to move them too close to either side of the eye because that's going to make him feel cross-eyed. And you're going to want him to look like he's happy and looking out.
So how many hoots would you say?
This is a 2.5 hoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am going to pull his little eyebrow above. See how we're still lining. Aren't we using the same rules that we've been following in Big Art Crest? We're lining his eyebrow up with the inside tear duct, aren't we?
Yeah.
So he's an alien, but we're doing things that are familiar. And I'm going to give him expression by raising the eyebrow up and then arcing it down close to the eye. See how that gives him some expression? Putting in this little roadmap for later is going to really, really help me. Now, I don't mind if his bark line is going to line up with that eyebrow line there. But first I'm going to put in a little lid line just so I remember where it is. I'm probably going to paint it out. But it lets me know that it's got there. Now, this eye should line up on the same plane of his face, which is why that chalk line can help you. We're going to round the inside corner of his eyeball out. So not the tear ducts. It's very rounded. If you did the geisha, actually some of this applies here. Some of what you learned is applying there. Tells you a little something about what the artists, the concept artists, were thinking about when they created Baby Groot. The way that they made him seem innocent and mischievous and a baby.
Yeah.
And we're going to do the same thing with his eyebrow, lining it up on the tear duct. I'm going to go ahead and let it join this bit of bark and come down. See? Very excited.
Now, if you don't have soft body white,
you can just thin your white. The soft body paints, and remember you can get those in, I have my fluids like this. But you can also get student grade soft bodied. And remember, craft paint is kind of soft bodied like deco.
Yeah.
So it's not like you've got to just drop bank to have it. It's just about knowing that there's two different textures to paint and they can help you in different goals.
Gotcha.
So I've got his mouth there. If you draw yourself your line right down the center of the face, you can see that it lines up on our face line. And the trick that I'm going to do here is I'm going to come here and then almost at a diagonal, come down, make a little line there. And then I'm going to raise up on the curve. Let me get out of the camera way. And kind of slope down. That gives me the basis of a pretty darn expressive mouth. Now I want it to be fairly open, so if you look here, this is almost like a 1/2 inch from the bottom of the chin. So I'm going to pull that in, and I'm going to curve that open. So now he's got a very expressive face, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Trick here, though, these little teeth. So almost, this is like, if I'm taking my number 2, they're about a 1/4 inch.
Okay, so that's a number 2 bright you're using?
This is a number 2 bright I'm using.
Okay. And Heidi, and along with a whole lot of other folks, would like to say hello from Canada. Michelle's from Canada.
Hi, Canada!
And I think Terry's from Canada.
Hi, Canada!
And Jenna. I mean, so many folks here that we had a lot of our Canadian friends coming in and saying hello.
I love all of our Canadian Sherpats. I love our Sherpats from around the world. I really do. You guys are the best.
Manuela's from Germany. She's coming in. Hi.
We do good in Germany.
Yeah.
We do good.
We do good in Switzerland and
You know
Australia
what it
and
is?
Ireland and
Is there
Sweden.
nice people all over the world
There
that like
just
to
are.
paint?
Mm-hmm.
We need to get on our own art island and let the rest of the crazies just have the planet. We're like, listen, guys, you just do your thing. We're going to go art over here and y'all work it out.
So here's the truth. I think that we are on Art Island. And
We are on Ireland?
Earth is Art Island.
I'm rinsing out my brush and reloading it so it doesn't get gummy.
And the other guys just don't know that they're here with us yet.
They don't know that they're here?
Yeah.
We're trying to get them to stop their nonsense and go be on Art Island with us?
Yeah.
I like the plan. So I was just rinsing out my brush because sometimes your paint can get gummy. And I want a nice offload.
What does that mean, offload?
Offload is the way the paint exits your brush and enters the canvas. You guys write me a lot about that saying, gosh, Sherpa, I love painting with you, but your paint just exits your brush and gets on the canvas so nice and mine isn't. And so I'm going to talk a lot about the things that make my painting experience kind of smoother and that might be happening to you guys to help you guys have an easier time. Because that's really what it's about. So I'm back over here to my black paint. So I'm always coming from this outside edge. I'm not really ever going in the middle. Look at this, so funny. I'm always, and that helps me control how much paint is happening on my brush.
Ah.
So I've got on either side of his chin right here, I've got a little neck coming down. And as I slope over to the shoulder, I'm going to bring up a little plate of bark. I looked at a gazillion screenshots of this little dude.
He's got some barky clavicles.
He does. He's very barky. And some of what I'm doing is about really trying to make sure that I am representing those parts of him that are very barktacular. Right? So I'm going to keep it here so he's oriented and easy for you guys to see what I'm doing. It's a little awkward for me to paint, but it will help y'all. I've got a little barky bit here. And I'm just keeping that bark texture. Then they did an interesting thing when they were talking about his throat and stuff, they used vines too to define elements of him. So where there would be a tendon, like here on his neck, they used a vine.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really cool, and I like to get that in. And one of the other things that I liked about blacklining him in, and I did blackline him in, was that it helped create those deep values for him. So I've got a little chest plate here, right, because there's one over here.
Yeah.
Let's bring some bark cracks in and bits of unevenness. If you haven't done the Big Art Quest on bark, that will help, because we have one. We actually looked at bark and studied it. I'm going to paint that all in there. I'll probably paint some of these values in. I'm going to come down the neck on the outside of the tendon and bark that up. And look, I just pull in those little vein lines, those little bark lines. Super fun for me. Super fun. I like it. I'm not going to worry about the little green plants yet, just because that's going to be a lot for me to take in. So hopefully my black lining, one of the problems when I sketch in with chalk is it's hard for you guys to see it on him. I wanted you to be able to really see him.
Yeah.
But I want you to chalk him in and then definitely line him in as well. I'm going to go ahead and I might as well hit the inside of his eyes.
Just fill those in.
Yeah. Could be doing Mars black. I could be doing carbon black. It's really not important on this piece, the black I'm using. I like the gesso because I always have a lot of it around.
Right.
It's here, and it's a nice flat black. And it happens to match my Mars black paint. So, because they have the same pigment, lets me do a lot of interchange. Just doing this here, making sure this is round. I can make so many adjustments in these eyes.
Just to tune them?
Just to tune them. I'm going to paint inside his mouth because it's a black space. And then I'm going to come paint in the first layer of his barky badness. His cuteness. Okay, I really seriously wish there was a species like this in the universe. I'm just going to say right now, I'd be so Team Groot.
So I had a question.
I have an answer.
What is the difference between soft body paint and flow paint?
And flow.
Flow.
Well, there's fluid. There's fluid, high flow, and fluid has just sort of a polymer medium in it. It doesn't have any of the polymer that adds body. You know how you like leave a brush stroke and when it dries it doesn't level? That's heavy bodied. Soft body paint will level. It's a bit self-leveling. High flow, you can run through an airbrush. It has almost an airbrush medium, so it's basically like liquid.
Yeah. And
almost like an ink, but it's not an ink.
Now, I think that those that some of those are like some of the flow paints or your high flow acrylic paints.
If you guys haven't seen these are misters.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are designed to be able to pass through a certain micron filter. So the particle size of those is
very, very small.
Yeah, they're guaranteed to be very small, so they can pass through the spray heads of things.
Exactly. All right. So I'm going to get into here, and I'm going to be good. I'm going to switch into. I want a brush that's going to give me an ability to fit between my black lines. So I've got a number 6 bright here.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to come here. I'm going to dip my brush in the water and drag off the extra. This is a synthetic filament for acrylic, so it doesn't overhold water for me. I'm going to take a little of my burnt sienna and my blue, and I'm going to make a very dark brown. The phthalo blue and burnt sienna make a very nice gray brown, and it's a good basis for the Groot. So I'm going to come here, and I'm going to paint in Mr. Groot pants with this dark color.
Now, can you talk a bit about...
All of him.
Oh, yeah.
All of him gets this first layer of this dark color. You guys will stop seeing my lines in a minute because these are very close in value, though I can see the difference between them. Can I talk about? Yes.
A couple of questions. Man, they just keep
I'm painting this all in, so I can take questions now. We're all painting this all in.
So the first one is and I'll give you a couple questions. Talk about the difference between loading a bead on your brush and the fibers naturally wicking up the the pigment and the general consensus of keeping paint out of your ferrule.
Okay.
And then the second thing, before you can do that, is where did you get those spray things that you just had?
So these were gifts from my community. These are stylist sprayers. So I had this cute mustache one, and then I had this adorable owl that was painted and signed. So this is art. And basically you just, I don't know if you can,
Yes,
can
you
even
spray
see
my
the mist?
camera is what you do.
I do. Spray your camera. It's fine. All right. So how I load a bead is I've got my paint here, and my brush is very stiff.
Yeah.
Right? For acrylic heavy body painting, you need a stiff brush. Soft brush will make you miserable.
Yep.
It'll feel like you're not even painting the canvas at all. And I come and I roll a bead, which is that roll of paint on the brush.
Uh-huh.
It's like a gas tank.
Okay.
And then I have a ton of paint in my brush that I can take over to my canvas and paint in. If I add a small amount of moisture, not a lot, to it, it will flow out. It will offload from the brush to my canvas very nicely. And that will let me paint for a while. See, I can paint for a while. Now, another thing, though, the other reason I can paint for a while is there's some things I'm not trying to do. I don't mind that there's a green glow of paint coming up through this onto my Groot. I want that. He's a natural little being of trees and flowers and orchids from a highly special planet of awesome plant people that I'm super sad got destroyed.
Oh, so we have so many new folks here. It's really
So
exciting.
see, we're just painting that all in. Now I might, if I'm having trouble getting my paint to flow, I come and dip. I don't take too much water with me. I pull some out. By the way, I can also use my glazing medium. See that there? That slows down the drying time of my paint and also helps improve the flow. And I like my glazing medium. That particular one, the acrylic glazing gloss, because it's an extender, it slows the drying time, and it's a glaze. It's like
multifunction.
Lilu Dallas multipass, awesome. So it's okay if some of the paint is more brown and some of the paint is more blue. You're just giving him the depth that he needs on his bark. Without this depth, this first layer, the painting doesn't work. So you got to have this hot mess first layer
To kind of give
to make him awesome.
To make him barky.
Yes, and I wouldn't want to paint him white first or paint around because I like this green behind him.
Ah.
Was that the questions? Did I
Yeah,
miss a
I think
question?
so. I think you got him. Oh, now is there when the paint is sort of wicking up into the ferrule?
Yes.
Is there anything you need to do about that? Or?
Yes. So if your brush is getting a bunch of paint up into the ferrule, wipe it out on your towel, squeeze hard.
Well, I can't see what you're doing there. Hold on a second.
Okay.
So, there you go. Oh, there you go. Perfect.
So you want to squeeze hard, wipe it out into your towel, then rinse your brush, and then wipe it out again.
Okay.
And then restart the load. It can start, okay, so a couple of things. Your brush is too soft. It can get up into your ferrule. Or your paint is starting to gum up. I don't know if I have a really soft brush over here. If I did, I keep trying to get rid of the soft ones. The white ones are soft. I have some, oh wait, here's the soft ones. This brush is too soft, right? So it's going to pull too much water up. And when I'm going, look, I'm having to really press it down. And it's going to over moisten my paint.
And that
But the
makes
other problem is that I'm having to, it's really hard, right, to get this paint off this brush. See how I'm having a really different time painting?
Now,
The coolness of the Sherpa is messed up. This is a perfectly wonderful brush. This is a really good number 8 flat, right? Nothing wrong with this brush. Wrong for this painting.
because you're using heavy body.
Because I'm using heavy body. If I had soft body paint and I was trying to one stroke this brush would rock my world. But I'm not. I'm trying to paint Groot with heavy body paint. So this brush is not my friend.
So for this, you need something with some strength to it.
I need some authority. Everybody says my brushes need to have authority.
Gotcha.
They do. Sorry, I did it. Please, you don't have to sit there and say, this woman is destroying YouTube. I got that comment this week. I was like, really? All of it? Like the whole thing? Because it feels like it's big.
It's big.
It's so big. I don't think I have that power.
No.
Also, I just don't think Q-tip art is that,
Is that influential?
destructive. I just think it's nice people paint. So I'm going to continue painting my Baby Groot. See the difference, though, in my painting experience? How I'm not working now?
It's just kind of...
Yeah. And this is just about knowing acrylic paint. When you really, really know acrylic paint, you will automatically start switching from brush to brush as you need it. You're like, soft body, my brush gets softer. Heavy body, my brush gets stiffer. I know what I'm doing. That's why acrylic artists love brights.
Right. Because they hold the paint edge.
Right? And oil artists have other brushes that they love because it performs well with oils. These are...
It seems like watercolors like washes. The big super soft brushes.
Yeah, they do, because they're awesome for watercolors, man. You can do an entire watercolor with a number 8 round.
Yeah.
I think I just did, and we're going to be dropping that on Monday.
Washes turn to sticks when you use them as acrylic, though.
Washes are just pointless. Yeah, it's just...
They just hold acrylic. They just hold
why am I even doing this? I don't know. Right?
So you're just lightly kind of going over the shape there.
I'm going around everything. I'm leaving the features in. I'm leaving my lines in, but they're blending now, aren't they? They're not even really that noticeable. So it's not even like I blacklined him. But honestly, they're there, and they're going to help me keep in mind to have my wood crack and split. And this is really going to create the texture that creates him. He's going to be as awesome as our dragon, in my opinion. If you guys did the dragon with me, then you will know. This lesson won't be that long. Don't panic.
Groot's it's a bit of an undertaking for Mr. Groot.
It is. On the big art quest, when we're doing these faces and portraits, I like to give some challenging and some easy. Yoda tomorrow will be super easy. But Groot today. When you think of things being challenging in art, it's not that you've got to have a lot of talent and everything. Generally, what makes a piece more challenging is the number of layers and the combination of techniques you might have to get into to complete the piece. And that's it.
Now, are you painting this face a dark, dark brown for a reason?
Yes.
Why?
Because for the brush effect that we're going to do to really work, you need to have a dark base. The green glow underneath is just a bonus.
Ah.
It honestly, and as it comes together, you're going to be like, this is crazy. It's going to look like a magic trick about the last third of the painting. So in acrylic painting, your struggle as an acrylic artist, especially if you're out publicly painting, is so like when you go to the mall and you're publicly painting, is they'll hire you to do sometimes. It's a hot mess, it's a hot mess, it's a hot mess. And then the last 30 minutes your painting is awesome.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of people walking by like, does she know she sucks? Does she know? See this thing I'm doing here? I'm offloading the paint out of my brush.
Squeegeeing it out.
I'm squeegeeing it out to reload it. Because I'm kind of a cheapskate.
Now, when you're just painting with your brush, just using it, it's okay for paint to get all over it. You just want to try to keep pushing it down to the edge.
Yeah, the reason you don't want it to get up into the ferrule, you don't press your paint up intentionally into the ferrule, is because it just shortens the lifespan of the brush.
Because it's just harder to clean that out.
It's harder to clean out, and then as it builds up inside the ferrule, depending on the make of the brush, right, the more it splays the brush, and it's harder for your brush to hold its shape. But you guys have seen me painting with these Bristles forever, and they hold their shape. So good brush will hold its shape for a very long time.
But for good brush practices, to make your brushes last longer,
I'm going to flip them over, guys, because that's going to make my painting time easier.
We try to make sure that you guys know how to have the proper care and feeding of your brushes so they last a long, long time.
Because, they cost some money, and you might want them to be there a minute.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I like my brushes. I want them to be there.
So it's okay to get the paint all over them and just clean them when you're done. Make sure you don't leave them soaking. That's not good.
Right.
Make sure you keep the paint off of them. And if they do, for whatever reason, get any paint stuck on them, you can use alcohol or hand sanitizer gel to help.
Yep, that's actually pretty good to have in your purse around just in case you're ever out and you mess up a brush.
Mm-hmm. You can save a brush that way, too.
You can. I have been terrible, and I have bought on discount brushes that, how sometimes people go into the art store and they will don't ever do this, by the way. If I ever
Don't you-
actually see this,
Yeah.
I will lose my mind. But they'll use paint on a brush and then leave it.
Yeah.
Like somehow the store like doesn't have to pay for that merchandise or something. I don't know what they're thinking.
It's just
But
crazy.
anyways, they do that, and then there's this killed brush. Then I will buy that brush and restore it.
But we fixed broken canvases.
Yeah, I
We're-
will. I'll be like, I will take your 60% off discount
right.
and just restore this. Yes, thank you.
So the
But
fresher.
don't do that with art supplies. Whoever's doing that, stop, man.
Yeah.
Stop.
You can the fresher your the sooner you get to your abandoned brush,
The better.
The easier it is to recover.
Yeah, because it takes acrylic paint actually a little while to cure.
Yeah. So if you get to them within the first day or two,
Yeah, but I have fixed some hot messes in my
Mhm.
brushes. I have.
yeah.
This is so funny. At least we're going to be able to tell the study versus the live painting easier this time since I flipped it. If you guys are new here, I oh my goodness. We're going to ClamorCon is what it is. And
we're leaving town next week. Yeah. it's
Yeah,
like
and we're
actually
trying to
making-
make sure you guys have an abundance of videos while we're gone.
Yeah.
So you are just on your creative journey no matter what's happening with us. And I think we've gotten a little nuts. Like we do. I love sharing art, don't you, John?
I do.
I love
This
it.
is like my favorite thing to do.
Mine too.
I prefer doing live shows over the pre-recorded ones,
Yeah.
but only because we get to be with you guys. I love doing the post-produced shows because I get to put extra time and energy into like tuning them, and so that they get to be tight edited.
Yeah.
But I love being able to hang out with the chat and here with everybody and ask questions and watch you struggle when you're
When
out
I
here
put my bokeh the wrong way?
bokeh upside down.
I don't know. It came out really nice, though. It's kind of nice.
It's
It's like
kinda-
energy's bubbling up from the earth, and he's still in the glow, so I'm kind of okay with it.
That's all right. He's in a bubble bath now instead of in a bubble party.
Yeah, I just can't be stressed. To me, it's the essence of the painting that matters. The thing about this painting to me that's important is this beautiful energy of Baby Groot,
Mm-hmm.
because it reminds me of my children. Who, and I love how many people are like, who is Baby Groot? That's just when I think, I'm not a dork, I'm mainstream. Nope. Definitely dork. All right, so I have that in. I'm going to offload, but not rinse out my brush. I'm going to pull out a little of my yellow ochre, but see how I'm graying it out with the pigment that was just on my brush?
Yep.
Then I'm going to come here,
Oop, 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 oop.
and I'm going to just paint in his teeth.
Now I know that there's a lot of folks that were asking.
Trees have yellowing strips. Sorry, I thought of that the other day. And it's so lame, but I couldn't help it. But that's just the basis of his teeth is,
yellow ochre.
is the yellow ochre with a bit of the dirty background color. It's just a little bit lighter than the rest of him. And we're going to come create shadows and stuff. But you can't do any of that till there's a basis of color on. And you got to get the basis of color or things just don't work.
Yeah.
I'm going to, while I can, paint in his eye with just a base color, which is just going to be the burnt sienna. Because Groot's eyes, Baby Groot's eyes, and apparently all Groot's eyes, because I went and looked at a bunch of Groots,
Uh-huh.
have kind of an almost orange glowing amber color to them.
Now,
And you want to capture that little bit of amber if you can. It really just makes his eyes unbelievably adorable.
now there's a.
So I'm just making sure that I have that basis. So see, he doesn't look like he's going to be painting right now at all, does he?
now,
It
and
looks
you're-
like I lost my mind and I can't teach art. But I promise you I can. Hang in with me and you'll be amazed.
now you're using your Sherpa brush there.
I am. I wasn't going to point it
Now
out.
they've already known and they asked. Now, to answer
I
everybody's
really
question,
like it, guys. And it's really nice. And it's a super sharp edge and all the authority. And it's everything I really like. And I just want to use it.
and so this is what the deal is that
Shh, don't tell the brush company.
as soon as we get back from ClamorCon, we will have lots more videos and content to drop about this. We have just been so busy with everything leading up to this that we haven't been able to literally record more videos to tell you more about this. But they are coming
I got
right after we get
so
back.
many brush videos coming about brushes and things you need to know about brushes. I can kiss it. Mwah, you're such a good brush.
But we'll be doing
All
more, of
right.
that soon. More on that soon after ClamorCon.
After ClamorCon.
But for now, we're doing Groot. And
Right
you-
now we're doing Groot. Speaking of, I'm going to get this number 6 bright. See the number 6 bright?
Yes.
And I'm going to start just sort of messing around. I've got my dirty brown here, but I'm going to add a little of my burnt sienna to it, and I'm lightening it up, aren't I? Kind of lightening that up. I'm not adding my brush to water. I might even grab a little of my yellow ochre. And I'm going to start dry brushing.
Is blending medium and glazing medium interchangeable?
No.
No.
They're a little different, but you can sometimes use them in the same painting. So what exactly are you asking?
Oh, that was just Debbie was just asking, is blending medium and glazing medium interchangeable? And there unfortunately wasn't a whole lot of context to that, so I wasn't sure if you would understand it.
I am on the edge of my brush here, and I'm going to make sure that whatever strokes I'm doing, I'm just kind of keeping a barky perspective, which means I'm making these sort of line strokes. And then when I come up on the lip, I will move to the edge of my brush and pull up, pull up. I'm going to have to shade this lip. But right now I just need to make sure that I've got going around the eye. Just trying to make this work. All right. I might switch back to my Bristles. Have to see. Just enjoying this. So even here I'm feeling like this brush isn't dry enough for me. It's not dry enough. It's not dry enough. I might grab, this is a number 4 bright, and it has a bristle with a synthetic blend, so it's one of the few ones that you can use with acrylics. But these brushes tend to be very stiff and dry, and that's what I'm looking for, stiff and dry. You're looking for your stiffest, driest brush in your kit. And you're going to just scrape down this dry brush as you're going. And you're creating this bark. I may need to put out some more of my burnt siennas. So I have lightened this, so we're just definitely into a brown. And I'm just dry brushing, and I'm leaving my cracks. And this is what this is about. We're just layering this up. Let me add a little more of my burnt umber,
Burnt
sienna,
ochre?
burnt ochre, burnt umber,
Burnt cadmium?
burnt cadmium. Another really good color that's nice to dry brush in here is you can take a little of your phthalo green into your burnt sienna as well, and then add a smidge of white to it. See how you get that kind of gray green bark color?
Ooh, yeah.
So the phthalo green, the burnt sienna, and a smidge of white, and then just start. See, bark is a lot of colors. We talked about this in the bark quest. It's like that's the trick, is to get the layers and the colors going so that you can feel the age of the wood. Feel it. And you want to leave lots of cracks and fissures here, because that is what's going to give you the character you need. And he's got character. So I'm coming here and see I'm on the edge of my brush, and it's leaving a lot of that there. I'm going to just going along, maybe grab a little of my yellow ochre here. And I'm going to come here. The outside edge of his face is lighter. So that's one of the things I'm going to have to start creating. Dry brushing is a light pressure, and it catches the tooth of the canvas or paper and skips along, allowing what's underneath to show through. See how we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
More into the yellow ochre. I'm going to come here. Also on his nose, I want to make sure that I am shading this where this feels a little bit raised.
Now, just to recap, dry brushing is when you use the paint on the brush without any added water.
Yes.
And you just allow a little bit of the paint to come off on the high parts of the canvas.
Exactly. It's catching it, and your pressure is soft, and you're just trying to.
And so you don't you just use the paint that's and you might like you don't want to get any extra water, and you may have to scrub a little bit. It looks like.
Yeah, there's definitely some scrubbing and some working, and we're just layering this, and he's starting to get some character already, which is nice. So I can take a little of my green over to my burnt sienna. I can even lighten that a bit with my yellow ochre, getting into my barky bark colors.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe down here in the shoulder, start to lighten this up. And I'm just pulling in these little barky strokes, creating the grain. I'm thinking about the grain of that, right? Because there'd be grain. The wood would have weathered. So it's building, building, building that up. Maybe this time I get a little more burnt sienna. Is okay. I'm going to flip it, John, so it's going to end up rotating here. When I work his lower part of the body, because there's a lip on my canvas, I like to flip. So right under the plate, I'll do that a little bit darker maybe, and then continue to lighten that up. And you can see that the dark color that I put underneath this is starting to pull through the paint.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pulling that out. If I have to offload, I press down, and reload. And then I've got this nice chest. So I've got the grain of the wood going this way. And I'm letting the underneath even show through. And because there's a slight green-brown cast to it, it just makes it feel like there's a deep mold in the wood.
Oh, yeah.
Which is going to just really help him stand out. But the reason he doesn't blend into his green background is there's a lot of orange, a lot of red, and green and red are contrasts.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I'm able to paint kind of a brown and green thing on a green background, everything being foresty, and still have them feel very separate. How is everybody doing?
Oh my gosh, the room is so exciting.
It's got to be almost dance time, I would think.
Oh, well, they are totally ready to dance anytime you are, of course.
I'm always ready to dance.
Because, we've had way over 300 people in the room here this entire time. They're just
then we're so
excited.
Sherpa. Let's be Sherpa.
We've been Sherpa for a
We're
while.
a palette of Sherpa. Let's have a minute and just be like, what are we doing with our day? We're painting Baby Groot.
Yes.
Bubble me up.
Bubble you up?
Are you ready for bubbles?
Well,
bubble.
I have to find I have buttons and buttons
Oh,
here.
I saw you set up. I thought we were. I'm
there.
just gonna sit my coffee.
And then we have that button. Is this that's what you were looking for there? Is that button? And this video this music was
Hashtag do the Baby Groot dance. You see my Baby Groot back there? I like it. It's like instead of a bubble tsunami, it's like bubbles.
But this music was sent in from one of our fans, Michael. So we really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And for all of you Sherpettes that are at home, get up and dance with us because it's time to celebrate and remember that you're alive. So, and if you can't get up and dance, then wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes to remind your body that you're alive and we're celebrating our time here today together, doing this fun Groot painting and. They love your misture. Show us your misture. You have to give it show me the. Oh, see, the mist is pretty cool.
It's actually really nice here in Texas summer. I'm like, Twix is over there going, what is? Do you see the mess she's making over there?
Yeah.
She gets away with too much, y'all.
You can see our little bubbles coming in.
Just messes with me, and then I can't.
But we love you guys. And don't forget to join us on our website, TheArtSherpa.com. We got forums and stuff there that you guys can come hang out on. And we'd love to see your paintings. Of course, post those up on our Facebook group and on our website and Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest, all the places so we can see the Groots. So we can see all the I am
all
Groots.
The Groots. Well, I'm going to come here and I'm going to get a little of my blue into my brown on this side because under the chin... I would want this to be a little bit darker, wouldn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Coming down. Maybe here on this plate, even darken that up a bit, huh? And then, of course, right here, It's important to pull, shadows in where you need them.
Mm-hmm.
Keep getting my brown on there. I haven't added any more blue. I've just added brown, and now I'm working that down the vein. Not the vein, the vine.
The vine.
He has no veins. He's vines.
That's right. It's gotten so dark on the canvas that it's starting to get to where
Is the camera struggling?
No, I mean I can see it, but I mean it's dark as compared to the other places. It's almost there to the black.
Yeah, it's chromatic black. And the only reason we know it's chromatic is because we have actual black on the canvas. So we can see that this is a chromatic black. But you want this shadow here at the neck to separate the face and the neck. You want it bad. So I'm going to just offload some paint on my canvas because why not, right? And I'm going to keep working this chest plate. Maybe I'll get a little of the yellow ochre and come over here.
Yeah.
So you can see I'm just working these colors and layering them. And using this brush texture to help bark it up. Bark it up. As I'm going, it gets barkier. It gets barkier.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get barkier?
I do.
I do too. So just a little bit. The green not toning and knocking the red down just a titch. And then I'm defining this plate. And then, of course, there is a general definition of this plate. This is going to be a really finished painting. I don't know what to tell y'all. Except that at the end of it, you're going to be like, I cannot believe I painted anything that realistic and yet fantasy at the same time. But you're gonna.
It's all about the layers.
It's all about the layers. And a lot of times I just rate the difficulty going, well, there's a lot of layers here. I'm going to put a little yellow in that. And I'm just...
Isha would like to know if you also like Star Wars.
Do I like Star Wars? I hope you're painting Yoda with me tomorrow because it is the most important of all Star Wars holidays tomorrow.
May the 4th.
Followed by the darkest day in Star Wars.
May the 5th. Yeah.
So, for those of you that are not big Star Wars fans, it's May the 4th be with you, and then the 5th is May the Sith. And of course, even though the dark side has cookies, I say no.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like I can make some cookies.
We got some Jedis up in here.
I'm really not up to like a gun that ends whole planets. Did I cry through Rebel 1? Oh my gosh. For me, Lucas completely redeemed himself.
Now, we like all of the stormtroopers that tend to come and paint with us. We totally appreciate 501st
Oh, no,
join
I'm not
us.
giving stormtroopers any shade.
Oh, no, absolutely. We know you guys
I'm
got a
just
job to
saying
do.
the old raisin dude.
Yeah, but,
Right? How do you not know he's evil?
We're bringing the X-Wings, don't we?
He's like the side of Dorian Gray's portrait that it's like he got the portrait backwards. That guy has a portrait that's young and beautiful somewhere. Wait, that's like all portraits at some point. I'm sorry. I'm adding yellow ochre here. It's right here. And I'll probably get into my cad yellow because I've got to
some highlights.
Fix some of the highlights around him and stuff like that since we did it backwards. I put it out to fix boo-boos in the canvas.
But you're going to.
But looks like I boo-booed more than I planned on boo-booing. But we're getting there. We're making headway through him. Still adding yellow ochre, rolling off my brush. I'm going to come here and pull this out again. I'm going to have to come back. This is going to be an area where I do a lot of work because I'm going to be shading the lip to give it that slight curve. He's got slight curves, so there's little works close to him. When I was doing him, I was telling John, this is going to be a thing. Let's do the background in first so people get a little break.
So they could have because that would have been...
The illusion of easiness before we, go bananas on them.
Well, because, we like to talk here, so if we add... even the simple half-hour amount of time to put in a background, that can easily add 45 minutes to an hour to our show.
Yeah. You know how we are.
So
I'm going to rinse out my brush and re-dry it again.
We just wanted to give you guys the opportunity to have that ready to go.
I think so. And I'm going to start working him in bits.
What bits?
So on complicated paintings, sometimes it's nice to, instead of like, sometimes it's great to work whole paintings, then sometimes it's nice to work bits of paintings. I'm getting coffee.
I don't get coffee. You talk to them for a minute.
Hmm?
Tell them how awesome we are. Tell them like where to go and what pages and things. And social things.
If you like free art lessons, so all your money is available for art supplies, which is where you should be spending it. You should definitely check out TheArtSherpa.com. We have something like 300. There's now a catalog, so you could search through there. Because you guys ask me all the time, do you have this? And I'm like, not only do I have that, I have 5. 5 of them. 5. Because I've been doing this for a few years on YouTube, plus, before, and so I have a lot of designs. You can definitely check that out. I should have let him know I was doing this because I'd had to microwave my coffee. But he's gone. You think he's here, but he's not here. Which is, I could totally go rogue right now. Fresh water.
Fresh water. I'll get.
And microwave coffee. So, yeah, I'll talk to them for a second.
2 seconds.
Okay. So that's really what it is that if you like what we do, you could like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. It helps us. And that's also good. If you want to see stuff like Star Wars or paint pours or glitter unicorns or just all that ridiculousness. Really, honestly, I just live to design crazy stuff and then show people how they can do it. It's like my favorite thing. And remember, if you run into a lesson somewhere that you're not quite ready for, it doesn't mean there isn't a lesson somewhere that you are. And these things build on each other and you'll just get better and better. And you'll pretty much be able to do anything you want to in art. Just don't let it frustrate you. Don't create conditions. And now I'm having the John thing because I know you're there. I feel your vibes coming in, but John doesn't give me the chat. So you're probably saying wonderful things, I would hope, because my moderator's there.
You don't get
Doing
the chat
their
anymore.
deal.
I could give you the chat back.
No, it's okay.
But we're not today because we
Not
want to
today.
finish the painting.
So I'm going to actually weirdly get back into my black for a second because I want to really come in and define these cracks up here, up top. They're important to me.
Oh, wrong button.
So I'm working the edge of my number 2 bright. Right? Working the edge. And I am coming up here. Just trying to show. And then, it's sometimes good to just even add these little dashes of shadow that really help define, what you've got going on. I'm going to come here and make a thick one. This is a deep fissure. Now, I actually looked at his concept art, so a lot of these actually are his exact fissures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I, tried to be real respectful of the artist that created him. Because, he's theirs and Universal's. And you want to make sure, even in fan art, that you kind of tip your hat to where the designs are originating out of. So I'm going to come here and, there's a thing I do. So what I do is I'm on the edge of my brush, it's a pretty sharp brush, and I'm making a slight backwards and forwards motion. And this creates these fine jagged lines. See that?
Now you're using the edge of the brush to get that sharp line.
I'm using the edge of the brush and this backwards and forward motion to get this bartacular line. Because I want him to be barky. Everywhere that he could be barky. He needs to be barky. And I'm going to take this. My brush is still loaded with the black, and I'm going to bring it over to my brown. And something I'm going to do is I'm going to come to what would be the inside of his nose and just make sure that I've got a bit of a little kind of shadow working here. Right here. Coming underneath what is his eyebrow line. So this is like almost like a dark chocolate brown. And I'm going to, this is still dry brushing though. I'll still dry brush it. Still dry. I'm going to come around the edge of the eye. Definitely want to leave the lid. And then an interesting thing I can do is I can come here and just get some of the yellow ochre. And just right here, add a bit of a highlight right there between the brow corner and that crease. You can come get a little green, bring it over. And this is going to be just about how I'm Going back and forth, dry brushing the different colors of the bark and making sure that the value I need, the highlights, are there. So I'm edging this in.
Madam M just gave us the proper day sequence for the Star Wars days.
Okay.
Which was May the 4th, Avenge the 5th, and Revenge of the 6th.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Please don't kick me out of the club. I'm super tired.
Well, no. I mean, there's a lot.
No, I mean, you just have moments, but I'm just telling you,
There's
do
a
that at a
lot.
convention, you could end up in trouble.
I mean, like,
So I'm pulling that green and brown around his eye.
you didn't mistake Boba Fett for the Borg, so we're okay.
Never going to happen. I'd be coma and get that right. All right, so I'm coming under the eye with this dark brown and green. Right, coming under the eye. Dark brown and green. And then I'm going to get, my brush is dirty, but I'm going to get just the yellow ochre, right? And I'm going to come on the inside and just make sure that I've got this kind of highlight right here. And then, interestingly enough, right at the corner, pull this at the corner, and then under the eye. So this is a lot that we do in an eye, a regular eye. If you did any of the eye quests with me, you'd be like, this feels familiar.
It's just a big eye
Just a big eye.
on a
And I
piece
need
of
to
art.
get a bigger brush. I need to get a bigger boat. This is the boat person.
I'm gonna need some bigger bark. How many? So over there, so you got a little Groot over there in your bucket, your paint bucket. How many paintbrush? How many hoot is this?
Again, 2.5 towards 3 hoots.
Okay.
2.5 towards 3 hoots. Let's
Interesting.
get some just brown, this bright brown, on our brush. And let's come here
Where you going?
and
Okay, you want there.
bark him up in the center. We're going to add just this bright brown. And I'm going to pull this up. See, I'm just going back and forth. Same thing I was kind of doing on that bark there in the center here. I want to leave this shadow that defines where his brow line is. So I'm going to pull this in here. There we go. Fun stuff. I just want some more of this brown dusted. Layer, layer, layer.
So
Right.
funny. Our marriage
I'm
almost
just-
came out.
What?
I was just like sitting here thinking, I've got all this other stuff that I would just love to talk to you about, and I just went almost
Really?
just like gonna ask you questions about the kids, packing for the trip, just how it gets.
I do know how it gets. So I'm going to pull out my yellow ochre into my burnt sienna. And I'm going to add some of my white to this. And I'm going to come here and just on this outside edge, I'm going to start creating my highlights of this sort of washed out bark. So see how I'm just using the edge of my brush?
Yeah,
And I'm letting what's dark underneath stay there.
that's really crazy cool how our eyes make it so.
Yeah.
They fill in all the details.
Yeah. These guys are always just, it's just work. I'm going to get some just yellow ochre here, and I'm going to start.
Again, you're just using the edge of the brush there.
Yeah, I'm just using the edge of the brush. I'm just, there isn't a lot of water, and what I'm really trying to do is just pull up
Now, if
what's
you're
happening and just dry brushing it in, see? And I'm leaving a little bit of that darkness right there
now, one of the things I really liked about
come-
Groots.
under the eye here with this light color because I've got it anyways.
Yeah, one of the things I really liked about the Groots is that while we're like Cinnamon's trying to represent a specific Groot, there were so many different Groots that every Groot is different.
Yes,
So
every Groot is different.
your Groot will look different than our Groot, and that's supposed to be that way
Because he's a Groot.
because he's a Groot, and you're making your own Groot, right?
Okay, I've taken a highlight on the chin and I focused it here but left the shadow here. I'm just letting people know. And I'm going to come on the inside of the mouth here with this lighter color. See, I'm coming on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get a little of this sort of dirty ochre. This has got all these other weird mixes on it, and I'm pulling it in so it's not just a pure bright ochre. And I'm going to come on this shoulder
Uh-oh,
because
which
I've said if I say his highlight face is right here, he's highlighted right here, I've got to highlight him right here, don't I?
Yeah, put some there.
Along his little shoulder. Just a little bit, just a dusting of it. I'll come back with some pure ochre and some different colors, and I'm going to add this just to this. This is really about coming back with highlights and lowlights and just barking it up.
And I will say, because I'm seeing a lot of comments as they come through here,
Just bark 'em
keep
up.
going through. If you guys are getting into a stage with Groot where you're like questioning that bark, like, man, I don't know.
It's hard.
It's looking weird.
It's looking weird.
It
should look weird.
Keep putting the layers on.
That's really where he's going to come together. It's those who hang in the longest end up with finished painting.
Yeah, it's when you finish. It's just bring it to finish. Just finish it.
And I think this is where people give up a lot and they think that they can't paint.
Yeah.
Is they're looking at the underpainting. I'm going to come on the inside of the throat plate and add just a little bit of a highlight, scratched barky highlight. See that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come on this side of the vine. I'm going to get maybe some more ochre than that. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And then just a little bit on some of this part of the plate. And that tells you where the light source is. Now I can come back with my little brush.
What is that little brush?
That's a number 2 bright. And I'm going to come in and add some of this deep shadow again.
Can fill some more of that in, huh?
Yeah. And then maybe some lines. You can thicken it up under the plate here. You know, it can be nice to mix it with brown to help it blend in.
And
right? So see how it's mixed with the brown?
yeah.
And then you're just pulling this in the wood. Pull it like this. So I'm just pulling in the edge of it. Work that crack. You know, shade where there's shadow. Work this crack from this side. Pull in this wood bit. See these little lines and these striations back and forth. Feathered, light. Some long, some short and zigzaggy. You can, and people never think to do this, but they're so empowered. You can right now on your smartphone, on your device, on your tablet, search the word bark, Google image. And you're going to pull up hundreds of images about this subject that are going to help you paint it better. You don't have to sit outside with your easel and wait anymore for the sun to get where it was yesterday. I'm coming along this side. You know, just making sure. And the dark shoulder this side.
There's a lot of little brushes enjoying watching you paint today.
I hope you guys are enjoying doing. You know, you could do this with crayons.
Yeah.
I could do this guy with crayons.
So if you wanted to take our traceable and try to color in behind us using the same colors but using crayons, a little brush could do that?
So do it, and you would have so much fun.
Could they do it with watercolors on the traceable?
Watercolors, just print out on a heavier cardstock. Get your mom
Yeah.
to print out any of our traceables on heavy cardstock. Actually, Mom might enjoy that too.
Yeah.
And then you can color with watercolors. Just working this. So see how he's becoming much more barky?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to just make sure that this is really working. Now, while I've got the black and the brown here together, I'll have to put up more brown really soon. I'm going to come up under the mouth and over the teeth. That's a shadow that I'm going to be casting on the teeth, and the inside down here too. And then I need to make sure that I've got a brown shadow on the inside of the mouth here. I'm just working this number 2. Right? Something you might not think about. I'm going to get a little black in the brown, putting out new brown soon. I can start pulling up little lines, feathered.
Mm-hmm.
Some short, like distressed and weathering wood. Look at that. I can even put some of those in the nose up here. The brown and the black. Just zigging them back. Look at that.
Wow.
Wouldn't it up? Would you? Would you? Could you?
I am Groot.
You are Groot. I am Groot. We are Groot. We are all Groot.
Today we are.
Today we're Groot. Sometimes I like to give you guys something that you wouldn't normally get to have, you know, and take you through it because you can do it.
What are you doing over there? I can't see. Oh, you're
I'm getting
paint out.
some more brown.
Oh, I didn't see. I was like, what are you doing?
Some more brown.
So which brown is that?
This is just the burnt sienna. I could have used
sienna.
a burnt umber too, but I found I was getting so much good stuff with just the burnt sienna that I wasn't needing to. I'm going to come on the inside of the eye here, right? And make a little shadow, just a little bit at that corner. Probably that I'm going to come back and shadow back out. It's crazy. I'll put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out. And I'm going to come under here and add that crease.
Ah.
That adds some expression that he needs.
Yeah.
Right? Get a little of the white on there. Just come right here to the outside edge. Weathered wood color that it is.
Mm.
And come to the outside edge.
Yeah.
And I'm going to actually highlight this part of the lid, weirdly enough. Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
Get a little of your burnt sienna and your ochre, mixing it into what you already had on your brush. You know, you can come here and come on the inside, right there at the tear duct. Blend it back into the lid line. I'm going to take this up around the lid. The funnest part of this whole thing, I hope you guys will hang in till the eyes because the funnest part is the eyes. I love doing the eyes. I'm going to take a little of my black and my brown. Again, you notice how little I rinse my brush.
Mm.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So I'm just coming around this eye and shave the lid in. Right, and we're going to put a shadow right here. Right underneath. Which will, as soon as we put the highlight, will pop. Pop, it'll pop, it'll pop. Let's take this down a little bit. Right. And we're starting, see, he's starting to come together.
Oh, yeah.
Bark it up.
He really is.
He's going to bark it up. You know, and we haven't even put vines or leaves or any of his little yummy bits in. I'm going to get, this is interesting, take a little of your phthalo green, knock it back with a small amount of your burnt umber, and then let's start working our yellow ochre.
Okay.
It's fun. You're like, okay, whatever you want.
I push the buttons. You work that ochre.
So I'm added a little highlight here, and I'm going to come along this lid line here, right here along this ridge, above the eyebrow. And I'm going to just dry brush in. Highlight. See how I'm just doing that?
Yes.
It's just a feather. It's just... So the reason I can do this if you're painting a very soft brush, it would be hard. It's not hard if you're not painting a soft brush. It is, I mean, if you're painting a nice firm brush, it's not that bad. But if you were painting something that wasn't that, you would be just like, this is exhausting. I'm going to get a little of my burnt sienna and my yellow ochre. Just working this right here. Maybe up this crack right here, changing up this wood. We're going to come back and glaze it with the green. And this up here is going to look like it's so perfectly molded and awesome. And I'm bringing some of this yellow through the wood here. Like dusting that above the brow. Coming up here. And pulling that up. And you can see it's just, you can see from this roughness how it's just skipping up the canvas. I think one of the things that sometimes people think is that realism is art, right? Like the more realistic you can make things, fantasy or otherwise, and their ability to make realism is what makes them an artist or not, and it's not. Realism is entirely about stamina. Do you feel tough today? Do you have the art in your soul?
Yeah.
This is where it is. You just got to hang in and be like, I'm going to be here. I'm a survivor. Sing the song in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Get your Beyonce on. Whatever it takes to get you through your art project. I'm going to get a little of my white on my brush. You can sometimes even grab a little yellow if you want to create a bit of that feeling of a highlight. I'm going to put one right here. Right here. At the top of this brow. Pull that up. Come around the side of his face.
Joe
down,
would like
down,
to know.
down, down, down.
Are we Groot today instead of Sherpa?
We are Groot.
We are Groot.
We are Groot. Look, am I crazed, excited about this movie? Yes. Did I instantly feel bad that I hadn't put Rocket on the calendar? Yes.
Well, there's Team Rocket and Team Groot. And,
I'm going to take a little of my yellow ochre out and add a smidge of my black to it. See that right there?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also going to add to some of my white. I'm creating some different values for myself to play with. So here we go. See?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just adding all that character. And I can add some character right here, can't I? Right there, I can add some character. Hey, baby, you got some character? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. No one can take that from you. I'm going to get some of my light color and come up along his little lid line right here. And on the outside edge right there. Catch a little bit on this nose. Look at that. Like he's weathered.
Mm.
Like
but only a little
weathered.
weathering because he's a little branch.
He's a little branch. So I'm just adding some of this highlight right here in those same sort of streaky textures. Bark is one of my favorite. I will sit there and work on a bark thing forever because the payoff is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's huge payoff.
And it does lend itself.
Huh?
It lends itself to acrylic well.
Oh, yeah. Bark and acrylic are the bestest buddies. You can outbark everybody with acrylic. And you can do it with students, and you guys can do a better painting than you even know. See, I'm just barking it up.
Mm-hmm.
Just that dry brushing, and look. He's barktacular, isn't he?
He really is.
And then if you have too much highlight, is that hard? No, you just come back with a little brown. Look at that. You
Deep in
don't
the
ever
bark.
have to worry about what's happening as long as you hold true to the spirit of the bark.
Yeah.
The spirit of the bark. I'm going to get some green on here. And I'm going to come in, maybe add some of this green hue to his little face over here. Right, like on this chin.
So I can totally appreciate it. It's just funny, though, because Jenna says her 6-month-old little brush hasn't taken his eyes off of the video once. She says, thank you, Sherpa, for some mommy time. I'm so glad that the brushes are enjoying this as much as I am, because I really like watching this.
It's fun stuff. I'm going to grab some of that gray and yellow ochre that I made here. It was a little bit of the black and the yellow ochre.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to come here on the teeth. I'll pull that up just a touch right here.
Yeah?
And I'm going to do the same right here. Right? I'm going to maybe get some brown and make sure that I've got some woodiness.
You know who else had wooden teeth?
Pinocchio?
George Washington.
Or George. We're so different. I'm like, Pinocchio? Literalness?
Well, he did. Pinocchio had wooden teeth, too.
I've got my yellow ochre, and I'm just pulling that right here. I just want these to be clearly a little bit lighter and everything happening around them. Right? Going to come in, add a little dry brush to his chin. Outside here. Right here.
They'd say, no, he did not have wooden teeth. That is a myth.
Did you? Oh. Well, there you go. That's what you get for trusting the internet for your education. Unless it's Vsauce. I think you can trust the guys at Vsauce.
I think what it was is that it was the joke that my 6-year-old came home from first grade to tell me, so I thought it was,
Adding just a little yellow ochre right here. Maybe a little bit on the teeth. You know, pull some, you know, anywhere you need it, man. If you got too much, you know, pull it off and then be just like right underneath this eye here, pull some of this wood down. Pull some of this color. You cannot work this hard enough. The more you work it, the better off you'll be. I'm going to just take some of my...
So we had several public service notices that would like to dispel the George Washington wooden teeth myth, just officially. You know.
Yes, that's not true.
And if you don't know, this show is live.
John knows it's not true. So see, I'm using the darker values on this side to give him some, right? And I can always come back if I lose my deep lines, right?
Oh, yeah. But Pinocchio did have wooden teeth for a period of time. That was confirmed.
Yeah.
He did.
Confirmed. Pinocchio is confirmed.
Well, there's, you know, the part where he was a boy.
Right.
We don't know about whether he had wooden dentures or not, but
Like that was the thing that the fairy didn't tell him.
yeah.
So I'm grabbing some black and brown. I'm going to come back here again. Doing that. I'm going to wipe off a little bit. And I'm going to just get on my edge and just pull this up a little. Just trying to make this. Just wooding him up. And then get your pure black on your edge and come right underneath this lip. See that?
Oh, yeah.
It's a subtle thing, but it's important. Clean up inside the mouth. Come under this tooth line here. See? It's popping now. It's like mess, mess, mess. Oh, there it is. And that's 100% of what you're always doing. Mess, mess, mess. Oh, there it is.
Now, he seems to be missing some leavies.
Some what?
Some little leaves.
Oh, he's missing a lot of stuff. Did you guys think you were done? You're so cute.
No, I was with the leaves.
What were they thinking? We're just missing some leaves. No, this is bark. Toughen up. Toughen up, you little barks. Groot comes and he needs some bark.
Bark. I like it. I like how how barky he is.
He's got to be very barky, otherwise, you know, he's not a baby Groot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are we doing, man?
I don't know.
I'm going to define there, and I'm going to define a little bit there. Run some of that right here. And then I got to finish out this side, don't I? And I haven't even had the beautiful green glow, and I haven't even finished him down there. And then
so
leaves, and then
glow.
he is work, man.
He gets. You're gonna put glow on him.
I got to put glow. I got so much he needs. Like he needs a lot of stuff. So I've got some brown with a titch of black. I'm coming in and I'm finishing this bark out, because even though I know I'm going to moss it, doesn't mean I don't have to work it. A moss glaze still needs to be worked. You can always take a little of your green and mix it with your brown. A moss glaze still needs to be worked.
Yes.
And you still have to do the layers. These things never stop being true for finished paintings. Just coming here to the outside edge with this. Isn't that nice? Just work it, work it, work it, work it, work it. With the nice black lines. And then we just have to create a highlight above there. Super fun stuff. All right. So above here is going to need a little bit of a highlight. I'm going to take, I haven't rinsed my brush, so it's got some burnt sienna on it. I'm going to take the black gesso, the yellow ochre is mixed here. Added a little bit of white. Now I'm adding a little burnt sienna. And I'm going to come to the top here. And I'm going to very carefully just make sure that there's some weathering that feels like a highlight at the same time. So I'm just dry brushing and then pulling the bark feeling. And then that starts to create that brow line, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can just pull that up in or pull that up in.
I have to say,
you can even give a little bit of a highlight to this little sliver of the bark.
They're building out our show schedule for next year.
Are they? What are we doing?
So apparently, May the 4th, 5th, and 6th are going to be filled with Star Wars paintings. And then, let's see here.
Grab some burnt sienna. All right, you guys. Y'all are so funny, aren't you?
And then July 9th, we need to do a Borg painting for Star Trek.
Really?
Well, because that'll be 7/9. We can do 7 of 9 on that day.
All right, I'm adding a little highlight to the teeth, y'all. That was the yellow ochre, black and white.
I'm down with it. I think it's a good idea. They're doing a good job here. They got lots of good ideas. We could do Deep Space Nine.
That highlight out here, and I'm gonna add some of it there just to get it. Now I've got to get into some green.
Green?
Mm-hmm.
So you're already on the highlights.
I'm gonna start getting into my green here, and then I'm gonna work my eyes and then this little leaves.
Oh no, it's September 7th. Sorry, September 7th. That's
You're
7th.
gonna get kicked out of the club. I'm telling you.
You know,
So I've got my yellow,
July.
cad yellow in my.
I got confused because Chrissy's birthday is July 19th, and I was reading other things.
Now I'm pulling out my glazing medium.
There we go. Yeah,
Right.
September 7 of 9. There we go.
And I'm just going to start adding some of this bright green. It's real similar from the background, so I'm going to need the edge of him to be darker than the background, but I can put what feels like the brighter green up into him. And so see how I'm working the edge? Right? You can dust a little bit right here on his cheek, like he's got a little blush. You can pull a little right here, just along his mouth. You can definitely see it's very light. It's like a dusting. Dust him.
Just a sprinkling of. See,
just a sprinkling. We're gonna pull a little bit right there.
Say we could tell which direction the tree was growing by the moss on him, but he turns to get up and walk around a little too much for that.
Yeah, I think he does. You know, so, you know, I'm going to grab a little of the dark green. I'm just going to keep loading my brush. And just make sure that there's some of this on him, because this is what's going to help us. You know, one of the things I'm not feeling that vine there, so I'm going to, with my brush still being dirty, I'm going to get a little blue and brown. I'm going to just make sure that I want that vine to feel very viney. Add some of that here. Just keep that barkiness afoot. All right. So you have your green. Add just a smidge of your burnt sienna to it. Get your glazing, or you're going to have to dry brush or use more water. And we're going to take just the tips of his bark up here, and we're going to start pulling down this very deep moss color. It should be significantly darker than the background. There we go. Just pulling this down. And that's how we're going to keep him from disappearing into his background. The combo of the very bright green. See how we're doing? We're putting some moss up here, aren't we?
Yeah.
In glazes and in barky-like brush strokes. So everything about this enforces who and what the character is. I'm going to add a little bit right there. You know, glazes, dry brushes, and layers. And then as I have that, I can come get some yellow. That's my yellow. Glaze to it. We're just going to keep adding some of that to here. The values. Because again, like the bark, the moss has tone. Doesn't it? Don't you take that tone with me.
Don't you take that tone with me. Oh, you beat me to it. Oh, man.
That's a marriage.
Maintain low
How
tones.
is everyone doing? How are they feeling? Are they succeeding right now?
Yeah.
You should be now that you start to see your painting happen.
Well, there's only a handful of them that are painting with us live while we're doing this. Many of them are watching along and planning on painting on the rewind.
I hope so, because I want to see a ton of Groot.
There's a lot of people who are Grooting along. Don't get me wrong. There's lots of them. But I mean, you know, you're cooking along here.
Am I?
Your pace is
my pace fast?
You're on the Sherpa pace. I mean, we're doing the Groot, and you know,
is my pace fast?
You're pretty quick.
Okay.
I'd say.
I didn't know.
You're faster than I could. I mean, like, I have a hard time moving RoboCam, but I'm like, you know, I don't know.
Sometimes I worry that I'm not going fast enough.
I haven't been filming a lot of other painters, but from what I gather on my YouTubery, I think you're pretty quick. I'd give you.
We like to bounce it. Yoda tomorrow will be just a nice little happy cakewalk of art. Just some little bit of this down here. I just like to dust it. You know what I mean? I like to.
You keep moving around.
Yeah, well, you know you do, don't you? Maybe a little bit of that. And then I just feel like glaze. I'm getting some glaze. I was offloading paint. I want some glaze. I just want a hint on his cheek here. Maybe more than a hint. It's okay. Probably some days in the forest is more than other days.
Super green.
He's super green today. You know, if it gets away from you though, it's never ever a problem because you just do what? You
just add a little more layers.
Now, another fun thing that you can do is you can actually go into your burnt sienna and add a little of your cad. If you haven't done this, and you can get into your yellow ochre. Creates a really fun bright color. Look.
Oh yeah. Let me get up.
So not just for the eyes, you can really increase like some of the stuff that's happening on the bark of the face. You know, I'll get some more of my yellow ochre. Pull that out. Add a little white to it. Just making sure that this here is highlighted. Super important. So anything that gets away from you, just don't feel stressed about it. You can get it back. You know, you can totally work it back.
Sometimes she makes me think that she's going to go get paint, but she's really moving to a different part of the canvas.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm adding a highlight to the parts of the bark here that would have one.
Now she's going for paint.
Now I'm going to get my yellow ochre out. I haven't rinsed my brush really, and I'm going to get just a little white. Just skidding because the studio is so hot.
It is, you know, a little warm.
Yeah. You can add a little yellow to it if you like. I'm just trying to get a really warm color. I'll come right here. Couple of those right here. There you go. Just a little something that says, hey, this was here. I'm going to come down here on the shoulder and add some of that. Sorry, that's why I said
you got me again.
All right, that's all I'm doing. Now I get to do the eyes and then the leaves and vines. Eyes, leaves, and vines are all that's left.
No.
So, how are you guys doing?
Good. They're having a fantastic time.
Yeah, he's
this
pretty
is
barky.
Big
I'm just
paint.
making sure he's barky.
You just checking it out. And
yeah, well, because sometimes he'll look like, when I'm painting
don't forget over here.
with myself, I paint and I stand back and I paint and stand back. When I paint with you guys, I'm like on it.
Yeah.
I'm on it right there. So sometimes I have to look at it in my monitor to see it, interestingly enough. Weirdly. Weirdness. Weirdness. All right, are we ready to eye?
I think so.
Eye.
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
All right.
Here.
So I'm going to get a little of my burnt orange and my cad orange and a little of my yellow ochre. And I'm going to come here on top of my eye. Making sure I have a nice little highlight over the top of my eye. Whoops. That's okay because I meant to be there. I'll just blend that out. Just making sure that I've got my highlights, you know, where I want them. Because this is going to be about, you know, really working all those things. So one of the things is that I'm going to get a little of my black into my brown. And I'm going to start working the corner of the eye with the black and the brown. Black and the brown. Definitely going to be putting back in a bunch of my shading. I'm going to get, I want to really, really shade. Got some just black here. And I'm bringing it around the lid, the eye. So this has got to be quite deep. I'm pulling it in softly on the corner of my brush, just dusting this in. And I'm going to do the same thing at that outer corner. My brown and my black. And just dusting in that outer corner. Then you can get your just brown, and from the center out you can pull the just burnt into the eye. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. Really, really work that corner. Make sure that it's shaded. Because his eyes are like a glowing amber. That is one of the reasons, if you can get cad, I would recommend it. The reason the painting glows is the cadmium color, that hue, that value, that luminous value. I'm going to get my brown, just load it on my brush. I'm going to just definitely, it's real easy for me to put the pupil back in, so feel free to encroach on it to get the value, this little corner glow that you're going to need. Now I'm going to get my cad orange. Just get that on my brush. It's got the brown and the cad orange together. And I'm going to start just softly. Can you see how soft that dust is? A little luminosity there. Maybe a little bit right there. See? Just a couple little dabs. Just kisses of paint. Kisses, 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 kisses in the corner. Kisses, kisses, kisses. So I'm leaving the outer dark shadow. I'm leaving what's close to the pupil. I'm just lighting this outer ridge right here. To be a super hyper realistic eye, it doesn't actually take that much to do. I will wipe off, and I'm going to add a little of my other cad to this mix. Make sure that I don't have pure cad because that would look very odd in there. This is just kind of, it doesn't look like orange on your palette. It's going to be like a bright orange when you get over here. Add a couple illuminated flecks. Hopefully the camera can catch that. Just a couple illuminated flecks right here. Can we see the amber of his eye now?
Mm-hmm.
Once I have that really beautiful coloring in his eye where you can see that it's not just brown, it's something special, I'm going to come and get my black. And I'm going to work just the fine line around this lid line, cleaning this up. Cleaning that up. You can use a small detail brush, whatever you have to do to maintain control. And then I'm going to clean up the inside pupil. All right, cleaning up the inside pupil right there. Then it's going to be down to the reflections. you've lost your barkiness up here, remember you can always, while you've got the black out, add a little bark line to that space. I'm going to do the same thing that I did over here. By using chromatic blacks, when I do use actual black, it creates another value space in my painting that lets me really create some very cool effects. So there we go. You guys got that inner corner. And now let's clean up our inside pupil. I think it's like amazing and fun how easy super realistic eyes are to do. Because they feel complicated, but actually they're just my favorite fun part of the painting. I consider this to be my like high calorie zone. Right? How is it looking on their end?
Oh my gosh, this is so cool.
Because we're nearly done.
Like it. They think you look like an eye master.
Huh?
They look like an eye master.
The eyes
So,
are just super easy.
Real
super
quick
fun.
question here.
Okay, happy to.
Yellow oxide and yellow ochre, are they the same?
Okay.
Are they interchangeable for the purposes?
They're interchangeable really for color mixing unless you're working at a really specific level, but they're not actually the same. One is a naturally derived pigment from the earth, and one is a color that's created chemically.
Gotcha.
And one is a little more transparent than the other. You have to look at the tubes.
But you could interchange them if you needed to.
You really can. For the purposes of what we do, yeah. You can interchange them.
Gotcha.
I'm going to do my leaves and my vines, and then when this is all dry, we'll hit our reflection. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
So I'm going to actually take a little of my phthalo blue and phthalo green. I'm going to mix them together. If I have any brown left, I'll add a little brown to that. I'm going to add a little of my glazing medium, so I have enough of this for the whole thing.
So there were a lot
You're
of...
still on your number 2 bright.
Yeah, you've been using that a lot in this one.
Yeah, okay, I could do a whole painting with this thing.
So
I just have so many feels on this you don't even know. We're going to talk about right after the show because I'm loving.
So the... what was that? I had a good question.
I'm
that came in
curving.
here.
I'm following. See, I made that little curve. I curved a line up. Right? We're curving up a line. And then I'm going to curve out a little leaf line right here. And then right there. Because he has little plants growing off of him, doesn't he? And I need this to be a dark value so it really pops against this green background. So that's how I'm going to make that happen.
Mm.
Right? That's how I'm going to make that happen. I'm going to do the same color over here. Curving a line up.
There he is.
I'm just painting that little leaf in. These are just little leaves that, he uses to heal his friends, blow things up, whatever little Groots need as they travel the universe. I'm going to come get some cad yellow. Right? And even a little white. Just come right here and make a little highlight in the leaf.
Hold
See?
a second.
You're just creating a little highlight in your leaf.
There we go.
Highlight a little leaf.
Where'd you go?
You're just highlighting little leaves. And then we're going to do some vines. The vines are going to probably be the yellow ochre and green, or the cad yellow and green, probably yellow ochre and green. Nope, I'm going to add some cad to it. I lied. So just, make some little vines that are growing across him. They're not like veins, but they're still part of his life matrix, and I think they're an important part of the character's design. So just a couple, and then you can just do some little grass leaves. See that there?
Mm-hmm.
Just some there, and reflections on his eyes. Rinse, 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 rinse. You guys ready to get your reflection on?
I think they are. This has been a pretty awesome.
Okay. So you can use fluid white or your white. The fluid white will let you pull a lighter bead out. I'll show you along the eye line how that is. I'm just going to put out even a drop. But first I'll just use my regular white to create his reflection path. So I've just pulled out a little bead on my brush. I'm going to come right here and I'm going to make a little light reflection. Right like that. Maybe a little one right across here. this actually lets you know more than anything what the character might be looking at that's reflective. It also lets you know that the surface is convex. See, I'm curving these little lines a bit. So, and I actually used a reference character to do those exact light spots. So I got lighting from the 3D rendering map. I have a monogram liner here, a number 1. It's going to give me the finest line ever. And I'm going to come here and just do a couple little, like a little drop right there on the inside of his eye. And then a small, I do dashes and lines along the line eye. I try to go between the shadow and the eyeball, because what that's going to do is make it look like there's a little bit of water collecting there that's reflecting. Right?
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. That's all it takes. And then guess what you get to do?
Ooh.
Sign it.
Sign it already?
Yep.
Wow. We did go fast from
Did
like...
we?
Well, it went from like deep
Yeah, it's
in
the
bark.
last 30 seconds.
It's like you're deep in the bark and then you're done. You know?
I'm going to sign myself in black in the bark. So I'm just part of the painting. I like to think about how I sign. And I'm actually picking a line here, if you notice, and using it to create my signature. So I'm hidden in the painting visually.
That's pretty cool.
All right.
Wow.
See, you'd be like, other than flip the bokeh, you do your bokeh correctly.
Yeah.
Like you do. 2 kinds of bokeh. I get some bubbles,
You
right?
should get some bubbles on their way out of this because you did this. We did the Groot.
They said it couldn't be done, but I said, yes, it can. They said you can't do it, and I said, yes, they can. They can so do it. And you're going to see it on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and on our website and in our groups and everywhere on social media and Pinterest and everywhere that we are. Because we can paint.
We can.
We can paint if we want to. No, I'm not going to make a spoof song.
But, you know, guys, we really enjoyed doing today with you. It was really wonderful to come out here and hang out with you guys. You know, excuse me. We're going to be able to do this again tomorrow.
For a very easy Yoda.
So we look forward to seeing you there. We get to spend some time. It's so wonderful, guys. Thank you so much.
Paint your canvases black.
We'll see you guys again tomorrow.